Chair, I have to say, like, the engagement here at the committee today it just reminds me of a child having raided the sweet jar. And you're questioning that child who's in continual denial, but you can see the chocolate all around their mouth. And I think, you know, Miss May, you were here before, and I've said it to you several times. And in the last appearance, or it may not have been the last actually, maybe the time before, it was confirmed that there was a whistleblower. And it was confirmed by Dr. Alan Wall in the Higher Education Authority. You said that on foot of a Freedom of Information request, didn't you? But there was a whistleblower, wasn't there?
You referring to the Dunstore sites?
Yes, I'm referring to the Dunstore site.
I don't believe so.
Well, all I can say is that it was confirmed by you at the last committee that an employee of UL raised the matter of the Dunn stores in a protected disclosure. Subsequently, it was withdrawn. And the object of the question is, what did you do about it? Because ultimately, what preempted the KPMG report was the probing of the CNAG in this committee. It wasn't something that you did voluntarily on an FOI request, was it, Miss May?
I cannot comment on the protected disclosure.
Well, Mr. O'Connor seems to want to answer. Are you aware of the whistleblower that's confirmed at the last meeting?
I'm not 100% certain, Deputy. This is before my time, but I'm
well, now, Mr. O'Connor, you've injected a few times to tell us.
Trying to be helpful, Deputy. I understand that there was a protected disclosure of which there was an investigation that was referred to previously called the McKenna report, and I wasn't involved in this.
Miss May must be after forgetting that, or didn't come up with the communication training.
However, the KPMG investigation, as the President May has
Don't go back to the KPMG. This preempts that. Way preempts it, Mr. O'Connor. And I'm going to say this. Forget about it. Because I think, like, lessons are only learned. You know, when you get your hand caught in the sweet jar, there is no denying. You're there. Your hand's in it. And the reality is it doesn't matter. There's no lessons learned unless accountability is had. And I can clearly see here that somebody is of the understanding that just because we commissioned a KPMG report for, as I said, part of the arse covering, that doesn't show accountability.
Parliamentary language, that.
Well, it's not really, Chair, to be fair. It describes the situation as we're discussing it. And I think, furthermore, I don't think it's really credible, Miss May, for you to come in here and to say that you're concerned about the students who would hard-pressed for cash. And that's why it was part of the reason that you took judicial review of Irish Water. These are the same students that you absolutely refused to reimburse prepaid accommodation for during COVID when they couldn't use that accommodation. They couldn't attend UL other than through internet. And you steadfastly refused, saying you had nothing to do with the student accommodation. Furthermore, the same students that you've been charging since 2016 for a student facility that's not yet built, is it? Are they still paying that student levy to go towards a building for the last 8 years? Sorry, 7. That's not yet built. So really what I'm saying is you have no credibility.
Sorry,
it's gone.
Just treat the witness
I
with
am
respect.
treating her with respect, the same respect that we've received here in the committee in making the statements that the public who are looking in, who weren't reimbursed for their accommodation, and now see the squandering of €8 million trying to be justified and hidden behind a KPMG report. Now, I'm going to ask a question. The question about learning lessons is, was there a policy in place that was not implemented, or was there no policy in place?
Deputy Murphy, first of all, I would like to correct you. We have reimbursed the student accommodation, and we have evidence that we have reimbursed for the student accommodation during COVID.
After the government.
That was discussed at a previous meeting, I believe.
I believe that I have several students that you didn't reimburse. And if you want that, so I can categorically refute your statement. You didn't reimburse all students at all.
I'm happy to provide written evidence on that on that matter.
So if you could answer the question as asked.
In terms of credibility, and to come back to your question,
That wasn't a question.
To come back to your question in terms of the processes in place with regard to the acquisition of property, there were procedures in place, but not as formalized as we have now in our new policy that has been approved and is being implemented in full. We have taken the learning from the regrettable shortcomings very, very seriously.
Right, so in the seriousness that you've taken it, were the engineers that nobody knows who they were re-employed to do any structural engagement on this building now, since it was purchased?
We will get all the required reports on the development of the building as part of the master planning exercise.
That's not what I asked you. I asked you, have you retained any of the same actors in the engineers that compiled the 2-page dossier to go to the Higher Education Authority? Have you retained them since?
I cannot answer that question. I have to come back to you on that.
Okay, thank you.
No, one more question.
Deputy Verona,
one more question,
just
Chair,
briefly.
very pertinent.
Murphy.
Did you have legal advice on the purchase of that site?
On the Dunster site?
Yes. Did you have legal advice?
No.
So one says no and one says yes.
I don't know.
It's part of the acquisition process.
Mr.
Obviously,
Kelly.
legal
And was
processes were engaged.
And did those legal advisors carry out the conveyancing of that property?
As far as I'm aware, yes. Yeah.
And do you retain those legal advisors today?
We have a panel of legal advisors.
Now, Mr. Kelly, be very clear. I want to know about the legal advisors that advised on the purchase of the property and the legal advisors that are now telling you that you cannot present that report to the board. Are they the same?
No, they're not the same.
They're not the same.
Deputy Murphy.
Well, just before Deputy Murphy comes
sorry,
in,
no,
that
have
they
to
might,
consider-
they
have to
might,
consider the members.
no, but that they might submit who their legal panels are and who did what, please, to the committee.
Thank you.